Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're peeling back the layers on something every single driver has seen and, well, let's be honest, probably ignored and definitely underestimated. That tiny little chip, or that little spiderweb crack in your windshield.
Right.
We treat it like it's a minor scratch on the paint, just a cosmetic nuisance we'll get to, eventually.
But if there's one thing, just one thing, the safety research we dove into makes crystal clear. It's this.
Yeah.
No. It is absolutely not safe to drive with even a slightly compromised windshield. A damaged windshield isn't just a visibility issue. It introduces immediate and really profound risks to your vehicle's structure.
Wow. Okay. That's a bold statement right off the bat.
Yeah.
It really changes how we should view this component.
It has to.
So our mission today is to uncover those deep, often unknown safety, structural, and legal implications. For you listening, we're moving past the obvious idea that it keeps out wind and rain to really understand why this piece of glass is, well, a load-bearing critical safety anchor.
Okay, so let's unpack that structural role first, because this detail is what usually causes that true aha moment for drivers.
Right.
When we picture car safety, we think of the steel frame, the pillars, the roof. But modern vehicles rely so heavily on the windshield for rigidity.
You're telling me that a sheet of glass is actually holding my car together. That sounds incredibly counterintuitive. I mean, glass is made to shatter.
It is, but it's the magic of laminated glass and modern manufacturing adhesives. The research shows that a properly installed, intact windshield provides up to 60% of the roof's strength in a rollover accident.
60, as in 60%.
60. Think about that. More than half of your overhead protection is coming from that piece of glass.
That is enormous. That number just changes everything. So you have a crack, even a tiny one. You're not just looking through a damaged window. You have structurally compromised more than half of your car's protection system in, like, the worst possible accident.
Precisely. And the danger of that structural failure, it goes way beyond the roof crushing. It links directly to other fundamental safety system failures.
Like what?
The airbag system, specifically the passenger side airbag.
How does glass factor into an airbag? I always thought it just, burst out of the dash.
Well, it needs a firm anchor point. When that passenger airbag deploys, it explodes outward and upward. It relies on the rigid, intact windshield as a crucial backstop to redirect its force and make sure the bag deploys correct, cupping the passenger, holding them in place.
So if that windshield is weakened by a crack, the force of the airbag doesn't reflect back towards the passenger. It just pushes the glass outward.
That's the critical risk. A compromised windshield can literally blow out of its frame entirely during a crash.
Wow.
And when that happens, the airbag is basically useless. It has no surface to brace against, leading to, ineffective deployment. You lose protection at the exact moment you need it most.
That's terrifying. It connects two things I never would have put together, the roof strength and the airbag.
And we haven't even touched on ejection risk yet. During a severe collision, if that windshield pops out, which is way more likely if it's already cracked, the risk of an occupant being ejected just skyrockets.
And the data on that is, it's often fatal.
It is.
Which is really why laminated glass was invented in the first place, right? To stop that from happening.
Absolutely. Modern laminated glass is basically a sandwich. You have two layers of glass with a specialized tough plastic interlayer. It's called PVB in the middle.
And the PVB is the hero here, I take it.
It really is. It's designed to keep the glass stuck together on impact, even if the glass shatters.
So instead of shards flying everywhere in a giant hole, the whole piece stays together. It stops things from coming in and, crucially, stops people from going out.
Exactly. And a crack disrupts that whole protective barrier. It creates a weak point where moisture and air can get in, and that can undermine the integrity of that PVB bond over time, making the whole thing weaker.
Okay, so let's move from the catastrophic event to just the day-to-day, because this is where I think it gets really interesting. We all assume that little pinprick chip is stable. We think we have time. We'll fix it next week, next paycheck.
And that assumption is just flat wrong. Minor damage is not stable, the glass is constantly moving, and it's under pretty extreme environmental stress all the time.
You mean just from normal driving vibrations,
Right.
Hitting a pothole or something?
All of that, yes, but the most powerful catalyst is temperature change. Think about places with big weather swings, like Portland, Oregon, where you might have rain and 50 degrees one morning, and then freezing temps by evening. When that glass heats or cools rapidly, the tension around that tiny crack forces it to spread.
So What starts as a chip you can barely see can become this huge, sprawling spider web across your vision in just, what, hours or days, not weeks.
It can happen overnight in your driveway, and that rapid spread just escalates the second major problem, the visibility hazards. We naturally focus on the crack itself, like the line blocking our view. But the distortion risk is often far worse.
You mean the glare. That's the real threat, isn't it?
It is. When the sun hits that damaged area at just the right angle, or when oncoming headlights refract through the edges of the crack, it creates this visual distortion.
It's not just distracting. It can genuinely blind you for a second.
For a critical second, right when you need maximum focus, like during an evening merge or a sudden stop. And if you add rain, it gets even worse because water gets in those tiny fractures, and it's like trying to see through a funhouse mirror at 65 miles an hour.
This is so important when we talk about some of the flawed assumptions drivers make.
Yeah.
Like the first one, ignoring a crack if it's not in their direct line of sight.
Oh, I've heard this a million times.
It's fine. It's over on the passenger side, way down at the bottom.
That is an extremely dangerous way to think. If the crack extends to the windshield's edge, it means the entire adhesive bond of the glass, that perimeter holding up 60% of your roof strength, is now compromised. The location is almost secondary.
And edge cracks are the ones that spread inwards the fastest, right?
Right, because that's where the most tension is, which leads to the second flawed assumption.
Let me guess. The DIY fix.
The infamous DIY fix.
Yeah.
The super glue, the clear tape, all those magic kits you find online.
And people do it thinking they're stopping it from spreading or keeping moisture out. But don't do it. Why exactly does that mess up the professional fix?
Because it creates a much worse problem down the line. Professional resin repair works by injecting a very specific low-viscosity resin into the crack using a vacuum.
Okay.
That resin needs to bond molecularly with the glass. But household things like super glue or even the residue from clear tape, they chemically contaminate the chip.
So the technician can't get it perfectly clean, and the professional resin can't get a proper bond.
Exactly. You end up with a weak spot that might look clear, but it hasn't had its strength restored. You've basically cemented the problem in place, literally.
So if we connect all these risks, the structural, the visibility, the rapid spread, it really seems like driving with a cracked windshield is also a ticking legal and financial time bomb.
It is. The legal reality is that most states, like Oregon, which we used as our case study, have these broad requirements. They basically say you can't operate a vehicle with the windshield cracked to the extent that it limits your clear view of the highway.
That phrase, to the extent that they limit the clear view, sounds very flexible.
It is. It means law enforcement has a lot of discretion. You might think your chip is fine, but an officer sees glare coming off it on a sunny day and disagrees.
And then you're looking at a fix-a-ticket, at a minimum.
At a minimum. But the liability risk is far more severe.
Tell us about that, because this is the hidden financial danger most of us just don't consider.
So if you're in an accident, and the other side's lawyer or the insurance adjuster can plausibly argue that your pre-existing crack contributed to it.
Like the sun glare made you miss something.
Exactly. Or it blocked your view of a traffic light. You could face huge liability issues. Your failure to fix a $100 chip could expose you to tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow. That completely changes the risk calculation.
It certainly complicates your insurance claim. Some insurers might even reduce your coverage if they determine you were operating a vehicle with a known safety defect you didn't fix.
Which brings us back to the financial anxiety.
Hmm?
The reason people wait in the first place is they're worried about the cost, or that making a claim will raise their insurance premiums.
And this is the counterintuitive financial truth we found. Most comprehensive insurance policies often cover windshield repairs with little to no deductible. In many states, it's actually law.
Wait, so if I call my insurance and say, I have a chip, can you fix it? That won't count against my claims history and raise my rate.
In the vast majority of cases, no. The findings show most major insurers specifically exclude glass-only claims from affecting renewal rates.
Why?
Because they get it. They know that a quick, inexpensive repair, that $100 fix, prevents a much more expensive replacement claim, or even worse, a catastrophic claim from an accident. It's a pure financial win for them to encourage immediate repair.
It's cheaper for everyone to just fix the chip right away.
Yeah.
So what are the actual numbers we're talking about?
Well, it all depends on repair versus replacement. For small chips or cracks under 6 inches, the repair with that specialized resin, you're looking at maybe $50 to $150.
And that's often covered by insurance.
Often completely. Full replacement, though, that's a different ballpark.
Right.
For a standard car, maybe $200 to $500. But for luxury cars or newer vehicles with all that integrated tech, the price can climb really fast, sometimes over $1,000.
Before we get to the tech,
Yeah.
how does a technician make that call? Repair or full replacement?
It's a pretty practical assessment. It's based on size and location. We already know a repair is only possible if the damage can be fully contained by the resin.
So 6 inches is the magic number for a crack.
That's pretty much the limit of effectiveness for the resin injection. Beyond that, the structural damage is just too extensive to guarantee it'll restore that 60% strength factor we talked about. And for chips, they generally have to be smaller than a quarter.
And when is replacement absolutely mandatory?
Cracks longer than 6 inches, for sure.
Mhm.
Also, and this is critical, if the damage is directly in the driver's line of sight, that defined area right above the steering wheel.
Why there?
Because no repair can guarantee perfect optical clarity, and you can't have any distortion there. And finally, any damage that goes all the way to the windshield's edge, once that structural bond to the frame is compromised, only a full replacement will fix it.
And for the repair itself, it's a quick process.
Very. They use a vacuum to pull out air and moisture, inject the resin, and then cure it with a UV light. The whole thing is usually 30 to 60 minutes.
Replacement is much more involved.
Oh yeah, removing the old glass, prepping the frame, applying a powerful adhesive, and then the curing time is crucial. You can't just drive away. It can take several hours for that adhesive to set properly.
And this brings us to the biggest complication with modern cars and why that replacement cost is so high. The ADS factor, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
This is fascinating. The windshield is no longer just a passive shield. It's an active piece of technology.
How so?
Well, all those features like lane departure warnings, automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, they all use cameras and sensors that are often mounted directly on the windshield.
So when you replace the glass, you're moving the mounting point for these super sensitive systems, even by a tiny fraction of a millimeter.
And that means the system that controls whether your car brakes for you or keeps you in your lane is now fundamentally wrong.
That's a huge danger.
It is. A replacement, even a perfect one, requires a mandatory specialized calibration. It's called AS recalibration. If that camera is off by just 1 degree, the system might mistake a bicyclist for a signpost or just fail to activate at all.
And that adds a lot of time and cost and needs specialized equipment that not every shop has.
That's a major safety concern, right? You could get your glass replaced, drive away thinking your safety systems are working, when they are, in fact, dangerously compromised. The cost and complexity there alone should be enough to make you fix a small chip immediately.
Okay, let's bring this all back together. We've covered why that small chip is an immediate active threat. For you listening, what are the core lessons here?
1. Safety is structural. That piece of glass is your vehicle's rollover lifeline. It's 60% of your roof strength, and it's the anchor point for your airbag. Think of it as a pillar, not a window.
2. The risks of delay are actively high. Small cracks are guaranteed to spread, and waiting exposes you to legal liability and that dangerous temporary blindness from glare.
And 3. The financial anxiety is mostly unwarranted. Quick repair is fast, it's cheap, and it's usually covered by insurance with 0 penalty. Ignoring it just guarantees a much more expensive and complicated replacement down the road.
This whole analysis really reframes the risk, doesn't it? If your windshield is critical for safety systems designed for accident avoidance, that's the ADS, and for crash protection, like the airbags and roof, how do you even evaluate the risk of driving when a key part of both systems is visibly broken?
You can't. This knowledge really has to shift the perception of a small crack from just a cosmetic ding to a constant, active safety gamble. It moves from something you'll fix when you have time
To something you realize you have to fix right now.
Exactly.
It really changes how you look at a $100 repair, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not an expense. It's an immediate investment in your structural lifeline and your collision avoidance system. Something to truly mull over as you check your own windshield before your next drive.